I'm Jim Peck. Welcome to MSU Today in studio. You know, music is all around us at Michigan State, and a visit by jazz great Wynton Marsalis helped show everyone how to get the blues. In a good way.
You got to lead them, right? Lead them. They don't. That's why they don't like trumpet. We are the leaders. They're gonna be mad at you. Saxophone players been complaining for years. Their reeds. Don't worry about them. Make them follow.
Wynton Marsalis is at MSU to lead. He leads by example. He leads by taking the time to talk with young musicians.
Boom, 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 boom. That's the sound of the bass in jazz. Pyom, 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 pyom. I don't know where that sound came out here. It's like an infection. We got to get rid of that.
These are high school students, but not just any high school students. They're talented musicians who come from around the world to study at the Interlochen Center for the Arts in Michigan. They've come to MSU for this musical masterclass. They're finding out it's really about how you play the notes of your life.
I look at you like if you were one of my own kids, because that's another thing about the music. Because the essence of the music is a basic love for people. I used to notice all the older musicians when I was around them, they would greet each other with hugs and stuff. It's kind of strange then at that time. Men didn't do that too much. But it's a certain love and basic essence to the music that it is about communicating. It's about communication. So I like your attitude too. You take criticism well. You didn't flinch, you didn't get mad. You know, sometimes you get close to the kid, they start to get, it's all, not you.
He's an artist in residence at Michigan State. Here, his residence is wherever people love music, wherever people want to swing.
When the rhythm section is great, the band is great. When the rhythm section is sad, because you all play the entire time. Everybody else gets to sit around and look and pretend like they're listening to other people. Y'all can't. You know, you all have to play all the time. It's a blessing to play music. It's got to be exuberant. Hey, I got a chance of playing my trombone today. Ooh, ba-doo, 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 trombone. You know, I'm getting to play drums. Ding, 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 ding. Bass. Ba-doom, doom, 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 ba-doom, doom. Playing piano. I'm trumpets. Ooh, ooh. Get to look cute in front of people. Play. You don't want to be like.
You have to spend time with the students, talking about the music,
Okay.
talking about the history, and sharing your experiences. It's a beautiful job. It's a blessing to have this job.
If music is a blessing, Michigan State University is blessed by his personal gospel. His testimony comes in quarter notes and syncopation. It runs the gamut from teaching.
See how you can play around?
To intimate jazz performance. To the composition of 2 in 3, the piece he penned for the MSU College of Music and the Detroit Symphony. It premiered at the Wharton Center on campus. If music is a blessing, Wynton Marsalis is downright evangelical in his praise for music, for what it can mean. You can write it down. You can read it. You have to feel it.
There's no reason for us playing these horns to start looking at our music and not listen. All that's on the page is ink. The music is all out in the air. Okay? Y'all ready? Here we go. I want to hear y'all holler through your horns and let us see. 1, 2. 1, 2, 3.
There are those moments when even gifted musicians fall silent in front of such genius, when they feel blessed to witness the musical sermon of Marsalis.
I think I was probably shaking my head when the revelation came to me as to how incredible his teaching was. He's just a master teacher, and he just put it right on the table for these kids. Yeah.
One of the most important things to do on a horn when you're playing jazz is learn how to holler and cry in the horn. When you're playing, You know that's jazz when you hear that.
You know it because you feel it. The notes are just notes. The instrument, just a tool. The blues come from inside. The music, it's your life.
Those are the most important things. The technical things come far after those things, because those things are involved with who you are. And when you play, all you have is who you are.
And we're back with Dean of the College of Music, Jim Forger. Welcome, Jim.
Thank you for having me. Delighted to be here.
Well, it's good to have you. You know, I was in that session with Wynton Marsalis, and I watched you as he played, kind of shaking your head, stunned by what that man can do with an instrument.
And tapping my foot.
You were.
He's fabulous. Wynton Marsalis is one of the great musicians of his generation. He's an exceptional educator, and he's a wonderful humanitarian. Three qualities that we want our students to emulate, and what better role model than Wynton Marsalis?
You talk about as an educator. Is it important to have people like Wynton Marsalis on campus for the students to get that experience?
Oh, absolutely. This is a world-class university, and we need to have world-class guests come and visit with our world-class faculty, and they bring a tremendous dimension. Just a wonderful dimension. And when Wynton was here, he was performing with them, he was composing a piece that they played, he did some teaching, and he hung out at the local bars playing informally with our students and rubbing elbows. It was fabulous.
It was quite a time. Well, as you know, not all of the music on campus is jazz, not by a long shot. Different styles come together and blend and mix. You got to check out a little bit of Rumba Sinfónica. The world of music is here at MSU. You might think the MSU Symphony and a hot Cuban band are unlikely partners. You'd be wrong.
Rumba Sinfónica, it means rumba, the style of dance music from Cuba. Sinfónica is Spanish for symphonic. So in English it translates to symphonic rumba.
The term rumba identifies a particular genre of Latin music, but also the word rumba in some countries, like in Venezuela, where I grew up, means party. So you go to a rumba, that we have a rumba tonight, instead we have a party tonight. So it has that, the word has this association with party, with going really, crazy dancing and having fun. So it's a nice double, the word has a nice double meaning.
Professor Ricardo Lorenz composed Rumba Sinfónica, a blend of symphony and Latin rhythms. He worked with one of the best Cuban bands, Tiempo Libre.
Tiempo Libre is a group of timba, as I mentioned, this hyperactive contemporary salsa music, and they are all Cubans, and this music was born pretty much in Cuba. And they immigrated to the United States, and they got together in Miami, playing music whenever they had free time, so whenever they had Tiempo Libre, and that's how they got this name. They were nominated for a Grammy, and they have been doing a really nice job with this contemporary style that mixes salsa, reggaeton, rap, mixes several things. And it happens that composer Ricardo Lorenz saw them giving a master class at Indiana University, and he just got this brilliant idea of writing something that will unite Tiempo Libre with a symphony orchestra.
I like to see this project as a dialogue between these two worlds, sometimes a debate of ideas and concepts and ways of playing too. There's something in music that we call music practice, and it's the way instruments are played. It is the way music is conveyed. Classical music is conveyed through music notation. So what we have here in the back, notes and key signatures and so on. Popular music is conveyed orally. Well, these two worlds come together in Rumba Sinfónica, and that you don't get that very often. So in that sense too is a merging of these two worlds, and in that sense is a dialogue too. How does notated music dialogue with orally transmitted music?
In this case, it's a wonderful opportunity for students in Michigan to play a piece written by a Latin American composer, performed by a wonderful Latin American group and conducted by a conductor that grew up in Latin America. So this is a real thing. They are being exposed to the real music, the real Latin American music.
It's a homecoming for this piece. It's the work was premiered a year and a half ago, a little over a year and a half ago in Minnesota with the Minnesota Orchestra, and since then it has been touring the US and Canada.
The rehearsals help get it right. Everyone is excited for the big performance here at the Wharton Center on campus, but the guys in Tiempo Libre aren't just here to perform. They're also here opening the ears of students in an untraditional masterclass.
The difference is you have to play more staccato.
And what I saw was phenomenal. It was not like a methodical masterclass, but the pianist was here in one corner, the conga player was next to him with a group of conga players, the bass player was on the other corner, and it was just this cacophony of things happening and information going back and forth.
And you play with that all the time, changing. Good.
That creates a nice participation, nice environment in the masterclass.
It's a big event for everyone involved. It's personal for composer Ricardo Lorenz. It's a meaningful night.
This is where I work. I know all the musicians that perform in the orchestra. They're all students from Michigan State. And it is a very unique, not only artistic experience, but pedagogical experience for everybody involved. It brings two worlds that very rarely get to meet on stage. The symphony orchestra and a group of Cuban musicians, and phenomenally energetic at doing that. So in that sense, it's a unique project.
To me, the symphony orchestra is like the most wonderful instrument. We have all the colors and everything together. You have so many possibilities. So now it's even adding another collection of colors to this music when you add this Cuban group. So it's really a kaleidoscope of sound. So it's really nice.
Muévete con mi rumba.
For Lorenz, this applause is sweet indeed. And the performance...
Really phenomenal. I was really excited because it sounded so good. And it speaks so highly of what we have here at MSU. To see it happening at such a high level. In fact, the MSU performance, to me, sounded better than some of these performances I heard by professional orchestras. That's a lot to say, and it makes the entire work that I do here so much more significant.
Now, Jim, I know it's probably a wrong idea for me to have, but I think sometimes even I think of music at a university being kind of stiff and stodgy. This was not stiff and stodgy at all.
Well, you need to come to more of our concerts. No, it was not. Rumba Sinfónica brings a joy of life. They represent great Cuban tradition, Latin jazz, and the combination of the classical and Latin together really got folks inspired.
Are the layers of diversity, if you will, of music important to you with where you're taking the college?
Absolutely. I think music is one reflection, one window to our humanity, and there are lots of traditions, and there are lots of ways to celebrate, and lots of ways to express ourselves as people through music. And this was one fabulous example.
It was a wonderful time. And as you talk about tradition, nothing is quite as traditional as music and Detroit. They just seem to go hand in hand. And music is often one of the best ways to connect with kids in rough areas. MSU does it with jazz. He's a professor. A professor of jazz.
Here we go, Broadway, the in the pocket version first.
Rodney Whitaker is here in Detroit, teaching these kids to swing.
You ready, Noah? Noah, 2, Noah too.
It's part of MSU's push to bring music education to some rough parts of Detroit and other areas.
In the city, you have a lot of people, a lot of kids, in the streets, and you don't know what they're doing out there. You don't know what their situation is. So pretty much getting them involved here, it kind of gets them away from, the possibilities of, gangs and other things. Getting them in music helps them. Actually, my band director told me that, scientifically, that being in a music program helps you, get in school, get you focused, helps you better, and I think that needs to happen more here in this area.
I would agree that music gets you into something else and gives you focus and gives you purpose to your life.
It gives you something to work for, it gives you something to be a part of, and it just gives you a nice place to go to.
For Rodney, the Detroit Symphony has always been a place to go, the place to go. He grew up playing music here. It changed his life, and now he's passing it on. Now he's home.
So it was a natural fit because it was really coming home, helping to raise or nurture the next generation.
And of course, it fits with MSU's outreach missions. These kids get to learn, rehearse, and play in front of hundreds of people. It makes a difference.
You're setting an example of yourself. You're showing what you have musically, and you can share that with others in the band. And it's a good experience. I recommend if you want to go further in your music, this is the place to go.
Something about Detroit, just being involved in the CJO, Civic Jazz Orchestra, it's a great feeling.
There is something about Detroit. Rodney says there's too much negativity out there, but it's out there, not in here. In here, it's about good news.
The music is probably the best news that we typically promote in a positive. And I think that the music has always been uplifting. And I think it's sort of a travesty in a way that we live in a time where, especially a city like Detroit that has produced so many incredible musicians, we're in a time where they're trying to dismantle the music programs and art programs in the city of Detroit. And it doesn't make any sense when given the fact, can you imagine if you were a student in Paris and they decided they were going to take art out of the schools, what kind of uproar would happen? And I think that music is a vehicle for expression, but it also is about liberation, and healing. And the power of it is that musicians, their healing begins with healing themselves.
For these kids, it's a chance to learn and grow with the help of one of the best in Rodney.
Watch the tempo too. We're rushing a little bit. 1, lay back. 1, 2, up, 2, 3.
It's kind of surreal actually, because I've heard a lot about Rodney, Professor Whitaker, and I don't know, something about working with a guy of that magnitude, somebody that important, I don't know, it's just amazing. Not everyone gets to do that every day.
He's funny, After probably rehearsing his song, he'll have a story time, He's like, oh yeah, I used to work with this cat, Yeah, me and Randy Gillespie, we were at this club, just talking about, his Michigan State band, his jazz band, or working with some of the jazz greats, and it's pretty funny, and it's pretty cool knowing a guy like that.
When you encountered other musicians, the elder statesmen, so to speak, or the veterans, they were always so positive, especially at the time I grew up in, talking early 80s, when you saw a young guy trying to play jazz, they embrace you immediately, and you are immediately a part of a fraternity.
And jazz is all about passing it on, moving it forward, making it swing.
Go from the top again.
And the music is about hope. Rodney says you gotta be aware of the hope.
Sometimes you could be so bombarded by negativity that you can't see it. And so I think it's also the job of education, whether it's K through 12 or college education, to teach, to give folks hope. Education is hope.
Jim, why such a focus on music at a great big research university?
Music is central to the way in which we express ourselves as individuals, and it's one window to our soul, I suspect.
We're so close to Detroit, obviously, an area that's seen rough times, it's seen wonderful times. Does having this sort of a music operation as we have at MSU close to a place like Detroit help with the sort of the spirit of all of that here?
I think it's a tremendous opportunity for our students because they see our faculty working with youth in Detroit. They see master teachers at work, and they're assisting them. The economic barrier is not a barrier to talent, and part of our role is to encourage, identify, and nurture that talent.
Well, Jim, I appreciate your being here today. We are just about out of time on MSU Today in Studio. Want to thank you for watching us, and want to thank our guest, Dean Jim Forger with the College of Music. Thanks for being here, and again, thanks for watching. I'm Jim Peck. I'll see you next time on MSU Today in Studio.